It's another edition of Time About the Movies. We're looking at the weekend of March 9th, 1990, and we've got 7 movies to look at today, so we got a lot to get to, so let's not waste any more time. Let's jump right into it with the first movie, the biggest new release that weekend, and that was Tom Hanks and Meg Ryan in the cult comedy classic Joe Versus The Volcano.
Once upon a time, in the middle of a deep, dark factory, an average Joe Banks, lived a very boring life.
Good morning, Dee.
Hi, Joe. What's with the shoe?
Losing my soul.
Yeah.
Until one day, he found out his life was over.
I'm not sick except for this terminal disease.
That's right. You have some time left, Mr. Banks. Live it well.
And that's
Joe Banks?
when his adventure began.
You and I might be able to help each other. I want to hire you to jump into a volcano. Total red carpet situation. It's wine, women, and song in the sweetest little paradise you ever saw. A real journey.
Are you Joe Banks?
Yeah.
Hanks, Meg Ryan,
Joe Banks.
in the story of a man, a mountain, and a miracle.
Take me to the volcano!
He's diving! He's jumping! He's leaping!
Written and directed by John Patrick Shanley, the Academy Award-winning writer of Moonstruck.
I love you.
I love you, too. I've never been in love with anybody before either. It's great. I am glad. But the timing stinks. I gotta go.
Joe Versus The Volcano.
Yeah, I really like Joe Versus Volcano. There's a lot about this movie that works. You know, Tom Hanks and Meg Ryan, they work off each other really well, and it would later show in 2 other movies in the 90s. Of course, we had Sleepless in Seattle and You've Got Mail. We'll get to those when we get to those years in 93 and 98. They just work off each other so well. Their chemistry is fantastic, and like I said, we saw 2 other movies with them where their chemistry works so well. The film also does a very good job blending the over-the-top screwball comedy antics of the premise, and you also get these lighter, heartfelt moments that really do mesh well together with the script by John Patrick Shanley. Granted, the story can be a little disjointed at times, and there are some scenes here that are very outdated and very, like, I believe that's Nathan Lane as one of the tiki guy. I believe it's one of the tiki guys there as one of the, and the makeup and all that. That could go. Some people might find that a little racist, kind of, but for the time period, for what the world was like then, I guess it was okay. But nowadays it's like very outdated, like very, very outdated. But on the whole, Joe Versus The Volcano really is a fun movie. It's a solidly funny, enjoyable comedy, and you can see why it's had a cult following over the years. It's a comedy that is so over the top, so screwball silly, but it does have its heart in the right place, and I think it does have enough moments there to make it a fun experience for a lot of people. So I definitely recommend Joe Versus The Volcano. So let's go ahead and move on to the next movie, and that is another comedy classic, and that is House Party.
If my pops finds out I got in trouble in school today, I'm definitely going to be on punishment. There's a party tonight at Peter's house. Can I go?
You're not going nowhere. Every little step you take will be around this bedroom tonight.
Did you hear anything about a party tonight? At least not any good ones.
Hello, Tawatha. Do I feel like being bothered with Tawatha? Hello, LaDonna.
Women.
Yo, baby, you looking real good. Step off. Scandalous. Kick it, Pop.
What you got to say now, punk?
How much more trouble can I get into?
Hey, Eraserhead.
Look, I'm in prison.
Just do me a favor. Don't pick up the soap like that fighter.
I'm gonna kill him.
Yo, y'all look who fell into the gig.
Hey, this ain't Soul Train.
The two fine finest women in here. Now, how could a man choose?
Hey, you better choose right. Okay, so where we're on our way to? The house party. What? The house party.
Not surprisingly, it only took us 2 months to get into the most early 1990s movie ever made, but I say that in the best positive way. House Party is a fun, it's like Joe Versus The Volcano, kind of. It's fun, it's silly, it's over the top, it's just a ton of fun, and it just fits the time period, of 1990. Like, this is what you'd expect from a movie made in 1990. Kid and Play are great in this movie. You got Robin Harrison here, a young Martin Lawrence. John Witherspoon's in this movie, along with some other notable names. It's just a fun movie. It's just a good, fun time all around. It's a movie that you can watch now, as many decades later. It'll be dated, but it'll still be a ton of fun. And I don't think any of the other House Party movies really had that same impact that this movie did. I mean, it's just a ton of fun all around. It's a fun movie. It's a good, fun time all around. No matter who you are, you could watch this movie and be like, yeah, this is a lot of fun. I'm having a really good time watching this movie. It's just funny, it's silly, it's over the top, it just fits the time period, it still holds up to this very day. It's a very nostalgic movie, but it's a ton of fun. I enjoy this movie a lot. House Party, it's a fantastic film. Need I say more? Let's go ahead and move on to the next movie, and that is Bad Influence.
You're successful, for God's sake. Try to relax and enjoy it.
Let him go.
The guy told you to take a hike. Why didn't you?
You know that voice that you tells you what to do sometimes? Guess I listened to it today.
I'm like that, and I always listen to it.
Bad Influence.
More than anything else in the world, what do you want?
All he ever wanted was a bigger piece of the good life.
I think I'd be good for him.
Make it happen.
Make it happen. Now, he's about to find out that what he wants and what he's afraid of are really one and the same.
What kind of game are you playing with my life? This is my life.
He never saw it coming until it was too late.
I want you to remember one thing. You asked for this. Do you think you would have gotten any of it if it weren't for me? Now I'm gonna show you.
Rob Lowe, James Spader. He got everything he wanted and lost everything he had. Bad Influence.
Directed by Curtis Hanson, who would later go on to have some notable films in the decade, including The Hand That Rocks the Cradle, The River Wild, L.A. Confidential, and then do stuff like Wonder Boys and 8 Mile. Most notably, this is the first movie that Rob Lowe has done since the sex tape incident came out, where he got arrested for having sex with a 16-year-old girl when he was 24 in 1988. So, probably not the best way to start your comeback, starring in a movie where you play a character like this. But I will admit he's pretty good in the movie, as is James Spader. This is a very solid movie, a very underrated movie. The director of this, as I said, did L.A. Confidential, but this is also one of the first scripts for David Coep, who would go on to write several other noticeable movies. Also, he directed Panic Room, but he's most notable for writing stuff such as Jurassic Park, Lost World, Indiana Jones, Carlito's Way, Mission Impossible, the first Spider-Man movie. So he's done a ton of work since this movie came out in 90, and it's a fun thriller. It's very much like a Strangers on a Train type of movie. It's very neo-noirish. It's very stylistic for the time. It's a movie that is really intense and really chilling. It really keeps you on the edge of your seat. It's a really good movie. It's one I recommend if you haven't seen it already. If you want to see some great stuff from Curtis Hanson and David Coep, and want to see some of the best young work from James Spader and Rob Lowe, this is definitely the movie for you. So, Bad Influence, that's that movie right there. Let's go ahead and move on to the next movie, and that is The Handmaid's Tale.
Once upon a time in the recent future, a country went wrong. The country was called the Republic of Gilead. Ecological disasters ravaged the land, resulting in civil war, political turmoil, and widespread sterility. Only a very few women could still bear children. These women were called handmaids.
I mean, if you've watched Hulu, you really don't need to know too much about what The Handmaid's Tale is. This is, of course, based off of the book by Margaret Atwood. It's more well-known nowadays because it's been a hit TV series on Hulu. It's won Emmys for Outstanding Drama Series. But this was the first feature attempt to adapt this to the big screen or the small screen. And, you know, as much as I don't like the Handmaid's Tale TV series, I'm not the biggest fan of it, even though it's just not for me. Like, I just think there are much better shows that are better than this show is, at least in my opinion. But no matter how you look at the TV series, it at least is a lot better than this movie was, because this movie really is not all that good, even though it has some pretty good talent on board. Harold Pinter wrote the screenplay. You've got a cast that includes Natasha Richardson, Faye Dunaway, Aidan Quinn, Elizabeth McGovern, Robert Duvall, and this is a movie that kind of just really doesn't really get the message and the point of the Handmaid's Tale story at all, and it just feels like a movie that they're trying to make just because it's a popular book and people will go to see it regardless of what you have to say about it. But at least with the TV series, they've had time to like evolve the story that the Atwood was trying to put together. And even though I don't like the TV series, I at least got to give it more credit than this movie does. But yeah, that's just my thoughts on this movie. It's not a very good movie. I would definitely say just watch the TV series. It's a lot better than this movie ever was, but that's just my theory. So let's go ahead and move on to the next movie.
Well, I don't know about the rest of you guys, but me and Ricky are going swimming.
All their lives, they stood by what they believed in. Friends, family. But most of all, the law.
Beat inspectors!
They were LA's finest. Nothing could break up this team. Until they got too close to a case no cop was supposed to solve.
We went in without a backup, without a warrant, without probable cause. We're talking major drug money here.
First, they lost a friend.
I don't want it to be different.
You have been charged with the fatality of Officer Howard Jones.
I resign. That's really what you want, isn't it?
Then they lost their badges.
What do you think? The department is going to go after Hojo's killer? What the hell do you think that FBI guy was doing at Frank's hearing?
No badges.
I mean, with $22 million, we could buy our own country.
This is the money that killed Howard.
No backup.
Well, if we take this money, we're no better than they are.
There's no backing down. For the last of the finest.
You know, Brian Dennehy did so many movies for TV, like on NBC and CBS around this time, that if you'd honestly put this on TV and made it as a made-for-TV movie, I don't think anybody would really tell the difference. But because it's on a big screen, we got to talk about it. And yeah, there's just really nothing there. It's just a bland movie that seems like it was made for television. Somebody at a major studio thought there was potential for it to be a big blockbuster, and they just put it up on the big screen, and it's just... there's just nothing there. It's got a good cast to it. Brian Dennehy, as I mentioned, Joe Pantoliano, Jeff Fahey, who would later be in The Lawnmower Man, Bill Paxton, Xander Berkeley from 24, but other than that, though, there really isn't a whole lot there with the story. It's one of the dullest thrillers you could possibly have. It's boring. There's nothing really all that exciting about it, and you can easily predict how it's going to end up. Like, there's no real surprise in this movie whatsoever. Like, you can pinpoint every single detail that's going to happen, and it just doesn't work. It's a mediocre movie. It's a flop of a film. Why they put this on the big screen, I don't know, but that's my thoughts on The Last of the Finest. Now let's go ahead and move on to the next movie, and that is Coupe De Ville.
Marvin, pick up Coupe De Ville, 159 North Street, Detroit, on June 11th. Stop.
He didn't mention anything about you.
He didn't mention you either.
Proceed directly to Florida for Mother's 50th birthday Sunday. Stop.
Hey, Marvin. How you doing?
March, throw your stuff in the bag.
Okay, Marvin. Way to say hi.
All right, which one of you boys in charge here?
He is.
Mo, Larry, and Curly. 3 jabronis.
Yeah, despite another good cast, this is another pretty dull movie. I mean, it's basically 3 brothers being asked by their father to drive a Cadillac from 1954 from Detroit to Miami. That's the movie. Why am I watching this? I mean, it doesn't make a whole lot of sense why they made this into a film. It's got a great cast again. Patrick Dempsey, Arye Gross, Daniel Stern. Fun fact, Arye Gross was actually supposed to be the narrator for the Wonder Years pilot episode, but Daniel Stern replaced him, and he would later do that for the rest of the series, so it's kind of weird to have not weird, but it's interesting to have both of them in this same movie. But other than that, though, there's just really nothing here with this movie. I mean, what's the point? What's the outcome of this? What am I supposed to get from this? That this really couldn't have been just another TV movie of the week, because that's pretty much what it is. Like, if you replaced some of the talent that's in here and replaced them with other actors, this would have been something you could have watched on HBO or NBC or the ABC movie of the week, that type of stuff. But, yeah, it's not a very good movie, so that's Coupe De Ville. Let's go ahead and move on to the last movie, and that is Roger Corman's Body Chemistry.
This is when it's the purest, when it's just sex.
Body chemistry. An erotic journey into the sexual danger zone.
What are you doing? It's just part of the game. This can't go on. Oh my God, my wife.
Why don't I call her over?
What are you, crazy?
Some men say no and they really mean yes.
How do I get rid of you?
Why don't I tell your wife?
Get out! Accept it, it's over!
It's not over!
Mark Singer, Mary Crosby in an erotic thriller. Body chemistry.
Because Fatal Attraction was such a big hit, why not? I mean, this is based off of this movie's main character is actually based off Glenn Close's character from Fatal Attraction, and there's just nothing here. Again, nothing here. It's just a generic erotic thriller, but not even a good generic erotic thriller. And the worst part about this is they made 4 of these movies, and I just don't get it. Like, did this first movie really leave that much of an impact where they said they have to make another one and another one and another one? Or were they just so cheap they just kept making them regardless? I mean, it's Roger Corman. It wouldn't surprise me if that was his thing. But yeah, there's just nothing here with this movie. I mean, I'm telling people that erotic thrillers can sometimes be really engaging and intriguing. Basic Instinct, for example, is probably one of the best erotic thrillers ever made, at least in my opinion. But we'll get to that one when we get to that one. But this is everything you expect from a cliched, riddled erotic thriller. Nothing exciting, nothing engaging, just crap. That's the best way to describe it, just crap. So with that said, that's going to wrap up another edition of Time About the Movies. We'll head into the middle of March next time around with 6 movies, including the film adaptation of Lord of the Flies, Jamie Lee Curtis in Blue Steel, Lambada, which was a cult hit at the time, Rutger Hauer in Blind Fury, The Forbidden Dance, and also Nuns on the Run. So thank you guys for watching, and as always, if you want to see more videos like this, check out the playlist on the next page, check out the previous episode, and I'll see you guys tomorrow for another new video. So thank you for watching, see you guys tomorrow, and until then, take care.